Hey folks, Dave here. I appreciate you stopping by and I hope everyone's well today. So we recently made a Father's Day gift, and since dads are so special, I thought we'd make something else. So we're going to make this. The wood for this project we're going to get from a red oak pallet. I don't know who makes pallets out of red oak or why, but I found one. It looks really nice. So we'll cut a couple of pieces of that, sand it off, and then we'll come back and download a 100% free font that we can cut letters out of to do this project. So I've got a red oak pallet here that I've been chopping on to make things on the laser. And I thought we'd cut some pieces off today and make something for Father's Day. Normally I would take the whole pallet apart, but the edges are so split up, it's just more efficient to cut some pieces out. Well, this is some real pretty wood. We're going to make it look nicer by sanding it down a little bit. It's 16 millimeters thick, which is around 5/8 of an inch. We just need a piece to cut out number one dad and then a base for that. Alright, I believe that'll do it. So let's jump into Lightburn and find us a good font. And we're going to start by going to get a free font that has commercial use and you can use with your projects without worrying about someone coming back and saying, hey, you used my font. So go to dafont.com, click on the cartoon category. I'm going to scroll this up so it's not behind my face. Go to preview and type in number one dad in all caps. And go on over to the right and click large, leave sort by popularity, go to more options and click 100% free. And then click submit. So the one I selected is called Arco, and it looks like it'll cut out pretty good right here. If you click, you can just download over on the right, but if you actually click on the font, you can see what all the letters look like. And in this case, they're all caps, there's no lowercase, but they do have numbers, symbols, and it looks like a good font to cut out. So once you download it, go to your download folder. You'll have an Arco zip file. Just right click, extract that with whatever program you have. You'll get a folder. Open that folder. You have two files. The top file is for Mac and the lower file is for Windows. So just right click on whichever one you need and install. And then that'll be made available to Lightburn, because Lightburn doesn't actually come with any fonts and it just inherits whatever is on your computer. So we're going to go over and get the text tool, and then we're going to go up and look for Arco, and we're just going to type out number one dad. You don't even have to put your caps lock on since they only have caps. So we're going to make this go up top, take your lock off, make it a width of about 150 and then a height of 60. That's about 6 inches long and about 2.5 inches high. And then we want to try to pull these closer together. And remember, you can scroll in and out with your mouse. You can push down on the scroll and move the entire canvas around. We have weld on up top, and if these were the type of letters that were close to being welded, then that would take care of them and weld them in place. But since they're completely separated, we need to turn them into a path and then pull them closer together to weld them. So we're going to select everything. We're going to right click and convert to path. When you do that, each of these letters will come apart. So they're no longer letters, they're objects. These smaller pieces are no longer connected either. So it's best to select and then group each one of them back together. And like I've said many times, if you pull from the right, you get a green line. All you have to do is touch the objects and it'll select. If you pull from the left, you get a red line, and it does not do that. You have to completely surround the item. Okay, so select and group, and just group each one. And then we'll move this one over first. So you can select, and then you can try to use your left arrow key. Click it once and see if it works. And that looks like it's a little too much. All we want to do is touch it a little bit and kind of reduce some of the cutting we have to do, because we're using 5/8 inch red oak. So it's really going to put this 40 watt laser to the test that I have. And if you have a laser that's less than 40 watts, you can certainly use a thinner wood. You could use Luan. You could use some other wood that would look nice to do the same thing. Now we need to bump this A over. And that worked out well. We just touch in the left arrow key. And the D is a little too much. Okay, once you get them all together, you can select them all. You can click weld over here. And since it is multiple objects, it prevents you from using the Boolean Assistant, which is up here, because the Boolean Assistant starts off with union, which has to have only two objects. In weld, you can have multiple objects. Okay, so now we want to make a tab. We're just going to run a tab across the bottom so we can put it through a base. And we're going to radius off these corners, so you have to make it too large to begin with. If you had it small like we need it, then the radius wouldn't work right. Okay, so I'm going over to the Shape Properties tab, and if you don't have that, go up to Window, down to Shape Properties, and make sure it's checked. And we're just going to radius them off to about an increase of 6, and that works fine. So we're going to slide this up. And I believe we'll cut all the way through the base. That's probably easier than just trying to hollow out part of it. I don't want to start a fire. It's easy to do because you have to cut really slow and at high power to get through a hardwood, even with a 40 watt laser. So that is 6. It can actually be a little less. And we could have just stuck the letters in there, but I think it'll work better like this. And that looks pretty good. So we're going to select everything and click weld. Now, once you put your tab on something, don't try to resize it any more beyond that, because it'll, of course, throw your tab off. And then you can check to see if you have any junk pieces in here, and I don't believe we do, but you can ungroup everything and then see if anything's left behind, and it's not. So we'll group it back together, and now we will make the base. We just grab another square, draw out a rectangle, hit the selection tool, go to shape properties, and we will radius that off to about 6. And then we know we need the base to go beyond the full size. So we're going to make this, I think we can just get away with the same thing, 150 millimeter width and a height of 60. Yep, I believe that'll work. Okay, so now we need a slot. Like I said, I think we're going to cut it all the way through, because you could just draw out a slot, and with a softer wood you could just hollow it out with a feel. But with a hardwood, it is easy to start a fire, at least for me anyway. Okay, so the wood itself is 16 millimeters thick, and you typically don't have, at least I don't have, as much of an issue with kerf with a hardwood as I do with a softer wood. So it's 16 millimeters thick, so I'm just going to make this 15 millimeters with a slight adjustment for the kerf, and then we will get this stretched out for the length, and I'm just going to go a hair beyond that edge. That should be fine. And then I'm going to shift, select the base, and hit bullseye, and then group that together. So this is our whole piece, but we're going to cut this first, and I'm going to cut at a speed of 8 millimeters per second with 100% power. On a test run, that's what it took to get through this wood. So we'll cut this and then come back and cut this. That'll give the laser a couple of minutes break, and it will reduce the risk of me starting a fire. Okay folks, let me jump in the laser and we will get this cutting. Be right back. Alright, we're set up and ready. So we'll cut this first piece out, and then we will come back and cut the base out. Alright, let me get everything cleaned up, put together, and we will take a closer look at it. Okay, well here's our finished piece, and I think it turned out pretty good. I did have to go back and set the slot to a feel because it didn't cut all the way through for some reason. But I just made it deep enough to set this inside and glue it. I sanded off the pieces a little bit more, and then added some clear coat, and that's about it. Before I forget, when you're cutting thicker woods using higher power and lower speeds, these pieces, when you pull them out right away, don't just toss them in the trash, because they get really hot and could start a fire easily. So if you have any questions working through this, just let me know. If you have a lower power laser, just use a thinner wood. And if you have any questions about anything, I've got posted, just let me know and I'll be glad to get back to you. I really appreciate you folks watching. It does help the channel grow. I appreciate all the questions and comments. It not only helps me as a newbie, it helps all the viewers, so I really appreciate it. So just check back often for new videos. You folks take care, and we'll see y'all next time. Thank you.